ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are watching this, whenever you are watching this, welcome to the studio this evening. So as you can see, I am going to be painting some beets. Why beets? I don't know why beets. I love the image of the beets. I don't know. I don't think I've eaten a beet in 30 years, maybe. Perhaps maybe a pickled beet on a salad or something. I don't know. But beets nonetheless. I love the red. I love the green. I love the look and composition of this. I think I can do something a little bit modern, a little bit fun to paint with these. Okay, so I am using my Mission Gold class watercolor paints to do this with. You can see them there in the lower right hand corner, and my brushes. I've got a series of brushes hanging out over there, quite a few of them. Most of them are like this one. This is a Dana Squirrel Quill Mop brush. And I'm going to be using this for quite a bit of this painting. This is the smallest of the ones that I have. This is a number 1. The paper that I'm using is a bit of Strathmore 400 series paper. And I've talked about paper before. This is not my favorite paper, but I've got a ton of it. And I want to try to use it up. So a fun little painting like this would probably be okay for this. We will have a few problems later on. I believe they'll come to light. Trying to get a nice graded wash. Sometimes that's hard with wood pulp paper like the Strathmore paper is. And we'll get to that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I'm just mixing up a few greens here, right? A little sap green, maybe a little hooker's green, throwing a little permanent yellow in there to try and get a nice warm green color. This is just going to be the first layer on these leaves. We're going to do probably at least one more layer on here to really build up some depth and definition, and really give a lot of life to these leaves. And the same thing that is going to go with for the beets themselves. We're going to give them several layers, a little bit at a time, and really build up some depth and roundness on the beets. And now you see I am painting right over, for the most part, the veins that go up through these leaves. We'll use a dark red for that. It's a pretty bold color, and we won't have to worry too much about not having it stand out over top of this green. I think we'll be okay with that. Okay, and now we've got a nice layer of green on here a little bit. We can mix up a little bit of red to start with the base color of these beets. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Maybe I should have cut this out in post-editing, but come on, Michael, get back to it. So the beets, I don't know why I wanted to paint the beets. I did a whole bunch of paintings of vegetables at one point in time. I've started gardening again. I love gardening. I love getting out into the dirt, growing some food for myself and my family, and it's just a lot of fun. So I thought I would bring some of that to the painting. Now I did do this quite a while ago, and so this is not a new painting. I don't know that I've used this paper in quite a while. I used to use Strathmore paper quite a lot, and it just has gotten, over the years that I've been painting and using it, it's shown its limitations to me, and I just prefer an all cotton paper at this point, whether that be a little less expensive cotton paper even, or a more expensive cotton paper. It doesn't matter. The cotton has just some different qualities where it helps you to control the water a bit better on the paper, and so I prefer that. But like I said, I've got quite a bit of this paper left. I've handed it out to friends and family to get rid of it. I've still got some. I'll probably do some practices on some other sheets of this, but for the time being, this is what we have on this painting, and we're going to go with it. Oh, there I am. I found a way to get myself on here. However, I have taken off the reference photo, so you get a little good and you get a little bad. The bad is you got to look at me. All right, so you can see I paint over the green with this darker red color, right? A little rose madder in there, a little permanent red. In this tin of paints, this is the Mission class paints. It comes with this interesting color called red brown, so I'm using a bit of red brown in here. The red brown is exactly what it sounds like. It's a reddish brown, and it serves to make for a nice dark color, a nice kind of a dark shadowy color on top of a different red. So I'm just going to paint in some of these veins here, and you'll see how it goes. I should say I've switched to a round brush. This is a Martini round brush. This is a squirrel hair round brush. And I like the Martini brushes. They work very nicely. They come to a pretty good point. And at this point, I had just gotten these brushes. I was trying them out to see how they really worked, and they do. They work quite nicely. Okay, so the only reason I can do this is because in the course of painting what am I painting? I was going to say radishes, but radishes aren't right. But in the course of painting the beets, the greens have dried, so I can go ahead and paint over top of those. That's why I can do this like I'm doing it. There we go, and by the time I'm done with these stalks or these veins on these leaves, the ridges here, the beets themselves will have dried. I'll be able to go and paint on those and start to add some of the darks and the shadowing around them, so we can really see that they have some texture and some dimension. All right, in hindsight, I guess it wasn't so important to see me on there. I'm not doing much of anything. Just looking around and trying to do a little bit of painting, but I'm there nonetheless. There we are. Maybe a little bit of shadowing here, a little bit of shadowing there. And we'll hope that that's going to work out nicely. We can maybe get a few more of these red things back there. All right, I think I mentioned I painted this quite a while ago, and so I'm kind of watching this with you for the first time. I remember doing this. I remember how I did it. I just don't remember exactly the steps in which I did it. Okay, now I think we're going to go back and do some more of the beets themselves. A little red-brown. I dipped into a little indigo there to darken it up just a little bit. And if I can do this now, and this is always the trick with wood pulp paper, is can you paint on here and get a graded wash done in the way you want it to be done, because the graded wash has a tendency just to continue to run and run and blend in and blend in, and it doesn't necessarily allow you to get a place too dark here and there. And if we could freeze it right here, if we could freeze time right there, I think that would be a nice beat. But I suspect that these colors are going to continue to run and run and run The real trick to doing this with wood pulp paper is to use as little water as possible, which is funny given that I'm using a brush that holds a ton of water on it. But we'll get it figured out somehow. Yeah, take a little bit out there. All right, that one didn't get, I was going to say that one didn't quite get the dark on it that the first one got, but we'll just drop some on like that and hope for the best. And you can see that beet, it really does have a bit of roundness now. And if you look at the first one, that's the problem with these. It's kind of, the paint has kind of run away from the edges, and we've lost some of that roundness on them, but we'll get that all back. I promise you we're going to get it all back. All right, I'm going to switch brushes here. And, oh, so much better. Get my face off of there. Get the reference photo back. Yes, I've switched back to the round brush to gain just a little bit more control. And now I'm going to start painting some of the darker areas of these greens in here. And you're going to see by doing this right away that the lighter areas are just going to pop out that little bit more, right? The way we create the highlights is to put on some darks, some lowlights, and you can start to see we're getting some dimension. We're getting some we're getting some depth into our painting. And the key is to paint those darks in the proper area so that we can layer all of these paints on there, and we don't just have one area that's a light and one area that's a dark. We want a series of all of those, but you can definitely start to see where some of these leaves are in the front and where some of them are in the back. And while I'm doing that, you can look down and you can see the second, God, I want to say radish again. It's not a radish. The second beet that I painted has gone all flat. It looked round for a moment, and it's not looking so round anymore. And that's a result of using wood pulp paper, and something we're going to have to try to rectify before the end of this painting. And once again, I just noticed, why do I always paint from right to left? I'm right-handed. I should be painting from left to right. Such a strange thing I do. I don't know why I do that. I'm painting in a few of the veins on here. I'm going to go over this. I don't know why I'm doing it now. I could be doing it later. But I guess now is better than never. So we'll get some of those on here. Just a few. We don't need too many. But just enough. And you can see these already. The leaves already look like they have some life to them, like they have some dimension and depth to them, and we haven't done a whole lot with them yet. We're going to do more to them, and it's going to start looking better and looking better and looking better. Okay. Oh, I'm going to paint the collar on all of these. Right in here. That wasn't the right brush for that, of course. Something smaller, something with a stiffer point. All right, and these are just a series of jagged lines. I'm dipping into that red-brown here again. I do like that red-brown in this painting. It really is a nice color for these beets. And there we go. So we've got that colors painted on all of those. Of course, one on back. Of course, before we put these beets in the oven, however you cook and eat a beet, we're cut that collar off of there before we do anything. I really am terrible. I love gardening, but beets I have no clue about. This time of the year, I don't know what time of the year is it. It's May. I've eaten about 20 dozen radishes. Okay, that's too many, but many radishes that came out of my garden. I do love radishes, and I've had many salads with the lettuce in my garden. I'm about ready to pull out some carrots. I've got some tomatoes growing. I've got some peppers growing. There are pumpkins and watermelon and squash, all sorts of things. I've even got a blueberry bush that the blueberries have just started to turn. They're going to be delicious when they are ripe, provided I can keep my chickens away from them. I don't know why, but chickens love blueberries. I don't think it would ever be a natural thing for them to eat, but they do seem to really love blueberries. But we're getting away from the painting. All right. Oh, this is just some straight yellow here. The red has obviously dried. It's not going to run back there as we put this glaze over it. But the yellow is just going to help to set these apart a little bit and give a little bit of warmth to some of these leaves. I've got basically two sides to them, a warm side and a cold side, or a warm part and a cold part. Right where they're a little darker, a little bit turned away from the light, I'm going to put a little bit more just regular green on there. Maybe I'll use a little bit of the hooker's green instead of a sap green, which is a little darker, has just a touch of blue in there, brown actually, but it'll be a bit darker. And then I'll put a little bit of the yellow on the lighter side, which should warm it up just a little bit. And here we go. And I'm just continuing to try to make differences in colors amongst these leaves, and I think you can see it really does help. You put on a little bit of depth and darkness in there, and it really helps to set some things aside and give a lot of life to these leaves on here. Okay, where are we at? Come on, Michael. I know you're going to do some more painting. Let's get to it. Stop jibber-jabbering with your friends. Here we go. There we go. I'm just showing I need to make sure that the colors are a little different between the two. The values are different. I can have the same color, I guess, but I can't have the same value. That needs to be different to show that the two are different. All right, I got one back here. Putting a whole second layer on all of these. Yeah, that leaf is pushed back a little bit. It's, I guess, back in the shadows a little bit more. All right. And what are we going to move on to next? Oh, yes, we've got some way in the back here. But they're so high up, they're getting their own light up there. So they can be a bit yellower, a bit warmer. There we go. And really the star of the show of this painting is not the beets themselves. It really is the greens. The greens really do make this painting. I wish I had done this on Arches watercolor paper, which would have allowed me to keep just a bit more of the roundness on the beets themselves. We're gonna put a little bit more color on those, and we're gonna make those a bit better. But But we could have had so much more on this first go around and not had to worry quite so much about it. Oh, look, a little color in there, and it brings a lot of life to that leaf, just like that. Separates it from the one in front of it and gives it life, just like those around it. And I left the paint on, the water on just a little bit much, and you can see in the petal that I'm painting here, my red just ran a little bit, so frustrating. Why didn't I paint those veins on last? Could have done that. But it's okay, it's okay. Now this one I should just do a very light coat on. I guess I get a little darker than when I'm looking at it now than I think maybe it needs to have, but so be it. As I was painting it, that's how I saw it. And it does look nice. It does have quite a bit of life to that. The warm yellow that's on there really does make it look nice. So I can't say that I did anything wrong. It's just maybe I would do it a slightly bit different now. And I'm determined to finish all of these greens at one point. I'm gonna do it. And there they are. I think I did do it. I think they're all done. They look great. And now maybe it's time to look. Well, obviously it's time to get some definition in all of the, I don't know what you call these, stalks? What are these called? I'm not really sure what these are called. A little of this red brown in there, mixed with a little bit of rose madder is what I'm using here, just to make that definition. It's not really a stalk though. It's I'm not sure what it's called. Okay, but we need to get back and do some work on our beets to help them with their roundness. We've kind of lost some of that as the paint has bled all together. Right? There we go. And let's wet the inside of that just a little bit and add some more dark down here and hope that it doesn't run up into that beet too much. It looks good now. It looks good now. But that wood pulp paper just allows it to just continue to seep and creep and creep. Let's see if we can do the same thing on these other ones. We're using a little permanent red, a little rose madder here. I want it to be a nice and bright color. The red brown does have the effect of dulling everything down a little bit, so I'm putting on that permanent red just to try and keep some of that bright redness in the beet. Right? It doesn't have to be super bright, but we need to have some of that in there, and dropping in some of that red brown here and there. That looks a little better. It definitely looks a bit rounder now. I think we can live with that. And this last pour beet on this side, the far right hand side. The tail of it down there actually already looks fairly good. It's nice and dark. It's kind of underneath everything else. But we might want to add a little bit of color on there. Or not. Or not. All right, there we go. We're going to darken up a little bit of this red going into these leaves, and then now I'm going to come back and do some of the small veining. There we go, and hope that it's going to look good. Of course it's going to look good. Of course it is. There we go. Come on, Michael. Keep going with it. You're doing good. You're doing good. We really do have a bit of dimensionality on here now. They look like they're three-dimensional. There's some depth here. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. These ones are perhaps, well, it's the ones next to it. The leaf next to it ran just a bit more than really I would have liked, but we'll get them all repainted on here so they look nice. All right, nice and bright. Looking good in there. Looks like my camera started to jump a little bit. That's a bit unusual. It typically doesn't do that once there's a lot of color on a page. It only does that typically before I get any color on, but we'll deal with it here. All right. Oh, they're looking good. They are looking good. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. All right, we've got only a couple of minutes left in this painting. I've got, some roots to put on here and some lines, some growth lines to put on here. There we go. This is a good time to tell you that you can find down below links to my Instagram account, my Twitter account, if you'd like to follow along there. I've got a link to my website, if you want to see what I'm up to there, and a link to my Etsy store, where I do have, about a dozen things up for sale. And if you like crazy stuff like this, then you'll see things like that up from time to time. I've got a whole host of other things for sale. Also, down below, I believe you'll find a donation link if you want to help me keep the art studio self-sufficient and paying for itself. You can leave a donation, or you can go and buy me a cup of coffee down there from the coffee website. And that's all I've got for you. I'm going to sign this one. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio this evening. I had a great time painting this for you. I hope you had a good time watching me and listening to me recount my painting. I'll be back soon with another video. Hope you can join me then. Until then, thank you.